Pele. Up comes Carlo Alberto on the right. And it's 4! Oh, that was near delightful.
It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala. Goal! Bafana! Bafana! Goal for South Africa! Goal for all Africa!
Frank de Boer speelt de bal. Heel goed naar Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp neemt de bal aan. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp.
This is Owen. Taken in his stride. Shamrock trying not to bring him down. It's still Michael Owen. He scored a wonderful goal.
We spelen nog officieel 20 seconden. Dennis Bergkamp.
Oh, lovely pass that by Mother. Sharma. It's 7.
It's down to Robbie Badger. He takes on tap around and he's missed it. Brazil have won the World Cup. Or it is outstanding. What a save! God thank! Take that out of the net!
Pereira hit by Hamas! Oh, what a goal! One of the greats!
Maldano to his left, he won't need any of them. Oh, you have to say that's magnificent.
And here comes Hurst. He's got some people around the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now. It's 4.
This is the World Cup series, and this is the Sporting Almanac podcast.
It's upon us.
It is upon us. I'm excited. I'm excited-ish. I'm a bit excited. I'm a little bit not excited.
We should be excited, but
Yes.
the powers that be
Contrive.
to remove excitement wherever possible,
Yeah.
to maximise revenue.
The problem is me and you, as well as English people in general, very cynical. We're probably worse than the average, and
Extremely cynical.
it is very hard to not be cynical about FIFA, about the World Cup, about the current way FIFA is run and about the way it's been run recently, and just about this bloated World Cup being held in a borderline fascist country for the third time in a row.
It's a strange feeling being English leading into a World Cup, because you're quite right in everything you've just said about our state of mind, our default setting of cynicism, but also our romance and love for football and our belief that we one day will win it all.
It's a very bizarre mix of emotions, Ben, but ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's coming home.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to win it, so
Yeah.
let's just get that out from the get-go. Anyone who thought that we were going to come in with a dose of humility, think again, or are we really just displaying another one of our national characteristics of sarcasm that is being lost on the majority of the world for another edition of the World Cup?
I think you can flip a coin when you meet an English person. They might actually be blindly optimistic, or they might just being a sarcastic twat. Maybe one of us is one and one of us is the other.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We'll
never tell.
We're nothing if not self-deprecating, at least. I mean, the song is about our lack of success. We just tell you the chorus repeatedly.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the World Cup, Jack. I mean, let's get excited. You and I, let's just buy in. We know there will be our moments during these episodes to have appropriate whinges, but let's get out the gate with some enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to see new countries in it. I do feel it's a bit bloated at 48 teams, but it's great to see the likes of Haiti in it, who have qualified before, but it's been a while. Curacao, exactly, who haven't qualified before. Scotland.
Yep.
Haven't seen them in it for a while.
New Zealand.
Great that they've qualified. Yeah, New Zealand, they have qualified before.
They've qualified before, but lowest ranked, I believe, going in.
Yeah, Iraq.
Yeah. Iran,
yeah, making headlines.
In the current political climate.
Yeah, just about managed to get into the country, although, I mean, this is a rant I'm going to start off from the beginning. I cannot believe they are having to fly in and out of the United States every day because of visa regulations. That should be something that the head of FIFA should be stamping down on with, oh no, wait, it's Gianni Infantino.
No, Jack.
And his tongue is too far lodged.
Do you remember sport and politics don't mix, Jack? So you'd have thought that there would have been an exception made for this particular tournament for those Iranian players. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Isn't that what we're told?
Exactly how it's supposed to work. It's annoying because they could have... I wouldn't have minded too much in the circumstances if they'd said, okay, Iran, you play in Mexico or you play in Canada. They've got that option in this World Cup.
Easy solution.
Easy solution. Like, it stops trumping all over everything. They didn't do it. Here we are. Whatever.
Yeah.
And that's Somali referee as well.
Oh yeah, okay. That is cool. That's another thing. One of the peculiarities of the World Cup is you do get officials from some very unusual places.
You do. He didn't get into the country though. His visa's been cancelled.
Of course it has.
I'm sure that'll be redeemed by the time he has to referee, but that's just
something to do with the fact that politics and sport do in fact mix, and we'll come to that. Our next episode is gonna really, if this is offending people, yeah, if they're bored by this conversation, then there's plenty more where this came from, I'm afraid, and that's the next episode. That's the focus for our next episode, where we're going to be talking specifically about FIFA and how corrupt they are. But this one, we're just going to talk about the World Cup, where we're going to wax lyrical a little bit. You're going to tell us some stories about where it came from. What are the good things about it? The good things about it is Mexico loves football. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Mexico hosting major footballing events. They've done it before, and they've done it very well before. They'll do it very well again.
It's the third time they've hosted, the first country to host 3 World Cups, albeit obviously as a co-host this time. And it's great. They stepped in when Colombia couldn't host it in 1986, I think, or was it 1970? Either way, one of the two was because Colombia couldn't host it. I think 86, and they stepped in and did a stellar job there. It is quite hot in Mexico this time of year, but, it's hot for everyone, so let's not be bothered about that. They love football. Got no problem with that whatsoever. It is easy to forget in this tournament that Mexico and Canada are hosts as well. Yeah. Obviously, the majority of the games are the USA and the finals in the USA, but it's not just them.
And Canada's a big sporting nation in its own right.
Oh, it's great.
It's also got a growing football popularity. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they got some good players as well coming through.
Alphonso Davies.
Yeah. Jonathan David. Is he all right?
Yes, he is. The guy who used to play for Lille. I don't know if he still is there. Plays up front, doesn't he? Yeah, no, they're good.
It's a bit like USA hosting in 94 to me. Like Canada are about at that stage. I thought it is emerging as a sport as it was in the USA. And the USA now, it is a massive sport. It is legitimately a massive sport. Yeah. It's just a shame that the people in charge are the people in charge. But anyway, let's not dwell on that.
The good thing about America hosting it is America are good at hosting major sporting events. They've done it plenty of times, like Olympics, Football World Cups of the past. They've even hosted a little bit of the Cricket World Cup recently.
Yeah.
Like, it's a serious sporting nation that prides itself on serious sporting events, and it has some unbelievable stadia.
And in terms of like football, soccer as they call it, tournaments, they host one almost every year. Every other year they host a Gold Cup.
Yeah.
CONCACAF Gold Cup, which is the North American and Caribbean equivalent of the European Championships, etc. That they host that and have done so almost every tournament. I think every tournament since it started, they've been either hosts or co-hosts of that. And they hosted the centenary edition of the Copa America.
Yeah, I remember
as well, about 10 years ago. They hosted that as well. So they're just a go-to. They've got so many stadia, football-specific stadia as well, plenty of them now because of the MLS and the success of that. It is an almost perfect country to host the World Cup in, if it wasn't for the things we've already mentioned.
Yeah. They're also just a huge fan base.
Yeah.
Like, the country's so big and the population's so vast that it doesn't really matter if the majority of them don't support football.
Well,
There's still a heavy chunk of millions.
It's still the most popular sport in the country for one particular demographic, and that is people of Latin origin. They are as obsessed with football as any other Latin American country are.
Yeah.
So, it just so happens they're a slightly smaller percentage of the population as like baseball and American football, but doesn't make that much of a difference. It's still massive.
I agree with all of that. Other positives are that the kickoff times are not inconvenient.
Some are. I mean, some are right in the middle of the night, but at least it means that the big games for a European audience are relatively convenient. I'm sure they're still not for an Australian audience, but such is the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're always, like, depending on where a World Cup is, someone's always going to be inconvenienced, and it shouldn't be obviously scheduled primarily for the convenience of European audiences. But I would say a North American World Cup has two big advantages, which is that it's two major markets in Europe and South America can watch. And Africa, because Africa's on the same longitudinal time zones as Europe. Africa, Europe, and South America are not inconvenienced by the kickoff times. I'm being unfair on a lot of Asian nations and stuff, but you would say club football, the traditional successful nations, it's a good kickoff time for those countries.
Yes, I would say the majority of football fans in the world, for whom football is their biggest sport, are probably okay with this. Brazil, Europe,
Argentina,
all
the Guys,
all of them, all of America, pretty much.
Yeah,
yeah.
Most of the major Central African countries and South Africa, every single European country, your Italies, your Spains, your Germanys, us, France, Portugal.
Not perfect kickoff times, but doable. Especially the big games.
Better than like 4 a.m.s and things like that.
Scotland having a game that kicks off at about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something like that probably would disagree, but yeah. I think they were a bit harshly done by with that kickoff time, but
they didn't get prime time because it's Haiti, Scotland.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll stay up anyway.
Yeah, of course they will. I think they've got a bank holiday the day after, haven't they? The Scots for it.
What, for it specifically?
Yeah, because it's a Sunday night at 2 a.m. Sunday into Monday morning, and I think the Scottish government have given them the Monday off. I might be wrong about that.
Well, I hope that's true. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. I think it is.
Cool.
But as we always say, I've been wrong before.
I'm sure even if it wasn't the bank holiday, they'd quickly make it into one if they win.
Going to treat it as if it is one, especially if they win. Because if they win, they're probably through, given the absurdity of the format.
Yeah, well, do we want to get into the format? Because I could get into the format.
Yeah, take over, mate. This is your safe zone.
I've already had mild rants about this at times. I cannot stand any format which has third place teams getting through 4-team group stages, because it basically means, as you've just correctly pointed out, if Scotland win, let's say they have a strong win against Haiti, let's say they play really well, they get 3 or 4 goals on Haiti, that's basically them qualified. One win is almost certainly going to be them qualified. If they then go out and get a draw in their other 2 games, they're definitely qualified. Someone ran this statistically, basically statistical analysis on this, and I think they said if you get 4 points, something like 99.8% of the time you qualify. It might have even been 100% of the time. And if you get 3 points and a positive goal difference, maybe that was a 99.8%. It is basically, that's how easy it is to qualify. It is too easy. There are 48 teams, obviously, in, so how many groups would that be? 12 groups? God, I can't even...
Something like that. That's massive,
keep counting, yeah, because, England are in the last of the 12 groups, Group L or whatever it is. And I get that that's sort of the only way you can do it in a simple format without being complicated. But there is a complicated format they could have used, and I genuinely think it would have been better, which was, if you ever look at the 1982 World Cup and how they did it, they went into a second group stage where so top 2 in the groups got through, and then there was 8 groups of 3 in the next round, or I think it was 4 groups of 3 actually, because it was half as many teams in 1982, but let's say it'd be 8 groups of 3 this time. And then from those 8 groups of 3, only the team who finishes top of the group qualifies. And then there's some ordering of the games where you have seeding, and then whoever loses the first game plays the second, blah, 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 blah. But basically what it means is you end up with 3 games in that second group phase, probably between really good teams, sort of, who have then qualified through the first group stage, that are basically quarterfinals, that you cannot afford to lose. And then at the end of that, you get the actual quarterfinals, and you don't end up with this never-ending knockout phase. 5 rounds of knockouts is going to get tedious, honestly.
It is going to get tedious.
16 round 2 games.
There's some groups.
Ridiculous.
There's some groups which, these groups wouldn't be formatted like this without an expanded tournament, so it's a bit of a catch-22. There's some groups that would actually be quite good if this was a traditional format, because you just wouldn't know who's going to get through, and it would be pretty exciting. So let's just take Mexico's group, for example. Group A, the hosts. They're in a group with South Africa, South Korea, and Czech Republic.
That's a winner takes all. That's literally could go down to the last game.
Right. Like, anyone could get out of that group, but it turns out that virtually everyone is going to get out of that group. Group B is also another host group, Canada. They're in with Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. Now, you'd fancy Switzerland, but any of the other three...
Yeah, it'd be an awesome battle. But now, not only are we not going to lose some of that awesome battle, because there's obviously the likelihood of a third team going through, but because they're Group A and B, and they'll be playing first up, they're going to have to wait 4 or 5 days before the team in third knows if they're through or not. So you're going to get this bizarre situation where there's teams who are like, oh, we're probably through, but who can't really celebrate
around,
yet.
But they won't know, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not as good. If you look back on those final group stage games, like the Germany-Japan, was it? Or was it South Korea? Whichever one it was. It went
Spain, Germany were going out, whilst Costa Rica and Japan were going through, was it?
Was that it? Yeah. And it was like, throughout the course of the 90 minutes, every one of them was mathematically on top of the group at some point during the process. And then it all flipped on its head in like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's the thing that this tournament's going to lose. Now, you could argue that you're going to end up in like a scenario where, I don't know, Curacao playing Ivory Coast for the third spot, or, you know, Iran, New Zealand plucking out, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, like battling to get through. And like maybe there is a romance to that, but you get the same by just having top 2 qualify. Yeah.
I mean, if there's a group stage situation where, let's say there's one team who's going to top the group on 9 points, 2 teams win their first game, lose their second game, the other one loses their first game, wins their second game, both of them lose against a team who end up winning the group. They play each other in the last game, both of them are on for 3 points. They just play out a draw. They know they're both going through. Like, I do think there's a chance of collusion in that situation where you would never get that level of collusion if it wasn't for, you know, that sort of situation. It's
the thing that's really annoying about it is FIFA know what they've done because they've seeded 4 teams deliberately, because those seeded teams can't meet each other until semis or something, if they get through, if they win their groups, I think. But like, some of the first place sides play third place, and some of the first place sides play runners up in the first knockout round, and like, so therefore adding like the seeding thing in is just like an extra layer of like trying to make sure that the back end of your tournament is good.
Yeah, and they don't need to.
They had a way of making it good, which was just leave it the way it was.
Yeah, even if they got, I mean, Gianni Infantino got elected, I should say. It was his original election in 2016 on the promise, as every single FIFA elected president has done for years and years and years. João Haviland did it in 1974, Blatter did it in 1998. All of them promised to expand the size of the World Cup and allow more teams into it. Haviland did. He got the World Cup up from 16 teams to 24 teams, and then Blatter didn't. He inherited it at 32 teams and never expanded it. Then Infantino promised to get it up to 40 teams, and I think 40 teams would have been okay. You basically have like the Rugby World Cup, 5 teams in a group, and then just double the size of the Rugby World Cup. Top 2 getting through. I think that would have been an epic tournament. It would have been a good opportunity. Yes, you'd have ended up with some teams who just end up as a bit fodder, essentially, but they still got 4 games out of it. They still played 4 games. Even if they lost 4 games, what an opportunity. And if you wanted to add more games and make it so you've got a chance of qualifying, then you say second and third teams go into like they have in the Champions League, an extra knockout round, like a round of 32 before the round of 16. I wouldn't have minded that. At least then it would be fair, and you'd be second place teams playing third place teams, for teams who win the group getting a bye. That would have been fine. You'd have created loads and loads of games.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
But it doesn't get you as many votes because teams want 48 in it, because that's 8 more chances to qualify, and you make a lot of money for being at the World Cup.
Yeah. No, we'll come on to the voting system in FIFA, but there's a massive incentive to widen the World Cup because everyone gets 1 vote. There's no waiting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah. I don't know. Are there any good groups? There are a couple. Despite the format. Can I throw a couple your way in addition to the ones I've already mentioned? I quite like the look of Group D, another host nation group. United States, Paraguay, Australia, Turkey.
Yeah, because these groups are good because they don't have a super team in it. Yeah. They don't have a Spain who are just going to walk all over everyone in it.
Yeah.
The USA, good team. I'd say the USA should win that group.
Yeah,
but
home nation.
Yeah, but it's not a guarantee, and you're going to have 4 good matches, or 6 good matches in that group. So,
for sure.
yeah, I like that.
Another one that is really catching the eye. It does have a big team in it, but I still think it's competitive. Group F, the Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia.
It's the most natural group of death vibe, that one.
Yeah.
Because
Someone's
Tunisia were
probably
good.
going. Yeah, exactly.
Tunisia were good, even though they are probably the fourth best team in that. Japan are really good at the moment. Japan are genuinely good. They've got a pretty deep squad, a deeper squad than they have. They've always had sort of superstars, but they do have a good depth of squad right now. So, yeah, I like the look of that group. And obviously Sweden are Mavericks. Got Potter in charge now. Who knows what's going to happen? But, yeah, be interesting to see.
It will be very interesting to see. That's the sort of group that can throw the cat amongst the pigeons in the knockout round, even if it goes to form a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got a couple of duds.
There is one I like beyond that.
Hey?
I like Group I.
Group I?
France, Senegal, Iraq and Norway.
Yeah. Norway dark horses, aren't they?
France are going to qualify, but they might not win that group. And if they don't win that group, they are going to have a potential harder time in the knockouts because they are one of the seeded teams, I believe, that we mentioned.
Yes, they are. I think it's France, Spain, England,
Argentina?
Maybe Argentina. I think you might be right there.
They will want to finish top of that group. Senegal are obviously handy. Iraq are this unknown entity, but, could shock a team or two. And then Norway, as you say, dark horses. Some genuinely good Norwegian footballers at the moment, as in some of the best players in the world are Norwegian right now.
Yeah. They are flying under the radar a little bit. I'm not sure I'd want Norway as my pot 4 team. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
The one that's not doing anything for me is Group K: Portugal, Congo, Uzbekistan, Colombia. Nothing.
No.
Nothing for me, really.
Colombia have their moments, but yeah.
It's probably just going to be Portugal, Colombia, and then whoever wins out of Congo and Uzbekistan going through.
Yeah.
And even then, they might not go through, depending on results in other groups.
Yeah.
Our group is, we're somewhere between hard and indescript.
I think we got a tough draw. However, England should get through. But again, England want to get through top. Because if England don't get top, they lose that
advantage.
Slightly, a path where we will avoid, as long as those other teams win their groups, the top 4 teams in the world until the semi-finals, in theory.
Yeah.
Ghana are good. We know Ghana are good.
Ghana are good.
Croatia are old, but they've also got a lot of quality.
Always been good, yeah.
I mean, they've got players who were world-class 15 years ago still in their squad, which is kind of mad, but Luka Modric is 40 years old. But, still quality. Still playing in Serie A.
And if we don't get a result against Panama, then heads are going to roll.
But that's the point. I mean, last time England played Panama at the World Cup, we won 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
If we do that again, we're through.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be 6-1.
Yeah.
3-0, and we're probably through.
Was that Russia, where we had them last?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. We watched it at Old Trafford, if you remember, when we were sunburned.
We did, at the cricket. Yeah. When you
times.
foolishly didn't bring sun cream.
Yeah, it was my fault, was it?
Despite the advice of Sam and I.
That's not exactly how the story really played out, was it?
Retelling.
What a day.
Yeah.
Joss Butler.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Beating the Aussies and then watching England in the World Cup. Yeah, well, look, that's this year's World Cup, but where did it all come from, Jack?
Where did it all come from? Let's be quick about this, because I could genuinely tell this story for an hour, but let's be quick. So, FIFA, the organisation, started in 1904. In the beginning of football, in the beginning of international football as well, there were just national FAs. So, started off with the English FA, 1863, the very first FA, the creators of the game of football, as we like to point out to everyone who doesn't ask. Scottish FA, 1873. Football Association of Wales, 1876, and then the Irish Football Association in 1880. Those 4 between them founded the IFAB, the International Football Association Board, which is still to this day the guardians of the laws of the game. So that they are associated with FIFA now, and they are the ones that do the rules of the laws of the game. And every so often, FIFA officials come over to nod their head politely while rule changes are agreed upon. Starting with the Danes and the Dutch in 1889, other countries in Europe started having their own football associations, and eventually this led to a situation where international football was super popular, but it wasn't very well organised. So, of course, as we've seen many, many times before, what do we do in that scenario? We get ourselves a governing body. So on the 21st of May 1904 in Paris, the national associations of 6 European football nations, which were France, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Sweden and Switzerland, alongside a representative from Spain, who hadn't yet had their own football association made, but those representatives were Madrid Football Club, better known nowadays as Real Madrid Football Club. They all came together and they founded FIFA in 1904. The Germans as well sent a telegram, but they couldn't be bothered to turn up. Notable absences, of course, were the home nations, who presumably considered all this beneath them at that point, because football was their game and everyone else was just doing it as a hobby. FIFA was initially pretty weak in the world of football. British home nations were much more dominant. The Olympic Games as well were the sort of highlight of the football calendar. But the Olympic Games were, and would remain until the 1980s, amateur. And football was increasingly, starting from 1885 in England, professional. And an opportunity arose for FIFA to sort of match what they were doing at the Olympics and have their own world football competition. And they had, in 1921, elected a very, very important man whose name will resonate with English football fans, particularly, Mr. Jules Rimet.
Jules Rimet, yeah. French dude.
Yeah, they'd elected him as president in 1921. He'd stay president until 1954. Still the longest serving FIFA president for 3 years there. But it was his idea, basically. The argument being, obviously, it was a professional competition. It would allow the best players in the world of football, whether they be professional or amateur, they could play at the World Cup. And he believed that that would be a higher quality competition than the Olympic Games and would allow FIFA to make a lot of money. And boy, was he correct on that last point.
But not initially.
Not initially. No, to be fair.
Not until the 70s, really, but we'll come to that.
No, it was always FIFA's biggest money maker, but FIFA was a completely different organisation in its early days. I mean, up until the 1970s, really, it was run out of a couple of offices in Zurich for most of its existence. Very, very unspectacular. I think they were just renting them like above a butcher's or something. I'm making up what type of shop it was, but that just points out how unspectacular the setup was.
It was pretty amateurish, effectively.
There's different schools of thought about what you do with sport. There's the classical British school of thought, the conservative school of thought, that sport is for the enrichment of all, that amateurism is to be admired, that playing sport just for the love of the game is the way to go. And I've got a lot of respect for that, other than the fact it's completely impractical in the modern world, as rugby union and other sports have shown, eventually going professional. That's very noble. Then there's a side of sport which FIFA is now, people in charge of FIFA are, which is basically, let's milk this for everything it's got. We've got this product which is so popular, how can we extract as much out of the fans as possible? I like to think there's sort of a middle ground to all this, but it doesn't ever seem to be relevant, certainly not in many sports anyway, where perhaps the fans are put first, but nevertheless, there you go. And it changed massively in the 70s, and we'll come to that a little bit, but first World Cup, 1930. It was hosted by Uruguay, and Uruguay seems a bit rogue, considering, obviously, the European nature of the initial FIFA members and where Europe was sort of centred, but Uruguay were the best team in the world at the time. They'd won the Olympic Games in 1924 and 1928, so they were clearly had the ability to do it. Another reason they put it on was in Uruguay was because 1930 was the centenary, so it was like a celebration. And the most important reason is the Uruguayan government basically offered to pay for it all. And I'm using these other reasons because they were sort of cited. The real reason was the Uruguayan government offered to pay for it all, including getting a lot of the teams to Uruguay in the first place, because that was a challenge.
Apart from Egypt.
Egypt did their best, bless them. We've talked about this before.
You've joked about this before, yeah. They missed the boat, everyone, literally.
Well, storms delayed their travel arrangements, shall we say.
Yeah.
They missed their connecting boat. So I think they got out of Africa, but didn't get the boat from Marseille or wherever it was, the connecting boat. But like speaking about boats, this sums up sort of how, I don't want to say amateur, because obviously the whole point of this is professional, but how different to modern football it was. There was a boat called, an ocean liner called the SS Conte Verde. And on that, FIFA officials, referees, and players from multiple teams travelled upon it. Jules Rimet carried the World Cup personally in a briefcase with him, as in the trophy, with him all the way to Uruguay on that. They set off from France. The Belgians joined in Barcelona. They sailed across the Atlantic to Rio de Janeiro, picked up the Brazilian team there, and then they carried on down to Uruguay. With each additional country, more and more players were there, sort of, getting their sea legs and then eventually getting bored. There was just games of football going on the deck and stuff like that.
That's great.
Boy, would I have enjoyed being on that ship. That's super cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And very old. Like, imagine now if everybody got on a cruise liner to go to the World Cup together.
Oh, but they'd be charging $10,000 tickets to be on it to get up close, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the same.
Well, yeah, if you can monetize it, well, of course.
Oh, well, absolutely. It was the competition was held entirely in Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay, in 3 stadiums: the Estadio Centenario, Spanish, the Estadio Centenario, the Estadio Pocitos, and the Parque Central. Apologies for my pronunciation, but the Estadio Centenario was the centerpiece of the tournament, and that's where the final was played. Only 13 teams turned up. They were, I could list them, but have I got them written down? Oh, I do. Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru, the United States, Mexico, and then the 4 teams who came over from Europe: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. There wasn't any qualifying at this point. FIFA basically just said, all comers welcome, and 13 teams could afford to go at this point, bearing in mind this was the Great Depression had happened the year before, or started the year before, so not the best time to be doing this. The first World Cup matches, 13th of July 1930, 2 games kicked off simultaneously. France beating Mexico 4-1 and the USA beating Belgium 3-0. Thanks for coming, Belgium. Thanks for coming, Mexico. See you in 4 years' time. Incredible.
Like 3 weeks on a boat.
And Uruguay, Argentina, USA, and Yugoslavia made it to the semi-finals. USA, very impressive at the first time of asking. Then they got spanked in the semi-final by Argentina, but never mind. They got there, 6-1 in the semi-final. Uruguay beat Yugoslavia by the same scoreline in the other semi-final, and so those 2 teams played in the final, where there was some controversial refereeing. In fact, throughout the whole tournament, there was some iffy refereeing, to be fair. I think there was a match earlier where referee accidentally blew for full time 6 minutes early, right when France happened to be attacking, and
that still happens in AFCON,
and had to be called back. Ben, how dare you accuse such things? Argentina got a couple of dodgy penalties against Mexico as well, and there was a mass fight between Argentina and Chile at one point. But anyway, Uruguay played Argentina in the final. Obviously, 2 close neighbours. They'd already played in the 1928 Olympic final, so they were arguably the best 2 teams in the world, despite everything that happened. I say they were arguably the best 2 teams in the world. Do you know who might have had a chance of winning this tournament had they decided to go, or had they decided to join FIFA, or not leave FIFA, and then go? Not England.
Scotland.
Scotland were extremely good at this point in time, and there is a lot of sort of, it's easy to say in hindsight, but there's a lot of people who say, had Scotland gone to this tournament, had they not allowed themselves to be dictated by the English FA, because the home nations basically acted as one block at this point, maybe it would have been Scotland who lifted that first World Cup. We'll never know.
No, we won't. And they didn't.
They certainly played a knockout game, which would have been a first.
Take the opportunity. They'll probably get one this year, to be fair, if they beat Haiti.
I hope they do. I like Scotland. I like Andy Robertson. Anyway, the final there's a lot of security fears around it, to say the least. There were 2 teams that maybe didn't like each other too much. Spectators were specifically searched for weapons before they entered the ground, which is, not bad practice, actually, in general. Probably still happens technically at this World Cup, but for very different reasons. Belgian referee Jean Longenou, I hope I pronounced that right, reportedly accepted the appointment only after receiving guarantees for his safety and after planning an escape route should the worst happen. And there was a really weird dispute between the 2 teams before kickoff had even happened. Argentina wanted to use an Argentine-made ball. Uruguay wanted to use a Uruguayan-made ball. So guess what they did as a compromise?
Use the Brazilian-made ball.
That would have been a great compromise, wouldn't it? No, they used the Argentine ball in the first half and the Uruguayan ball in the second half. Obviously, God. Uruguay opened the scoring. Argentina equalised. Guillermo Stabile gave Argentina a 2-1 lead. That was half-time, but Uruguay dominated the second half, scored 3 more goals, ended up winning 4-2. Jules Rimet himself presented the trophy named after himself to the victorious hosts, and Uruguay were the first world champions. Crowds filled the streets in celebration. Argentinians left without too much fuss, except at home where they had riots, but, football.
Football. And they went back-to-back, didn't they, Uruguay?
No, Italy then went back-to-back, 34 and 38, but then Uruguay won the 4th tournament, so after 4 tournaments, it was 2 each for Uruguay and Italy. And that fourth tournament, actually, I think we'll do an episode on that 1950 World Cup, or at least mention it in a bit more detail, because that is really significant World Cup in football history, because the World Cup was popular. In 1934, it went to fascist Italy, FIFA being FIFA even in the early days.
Yeah.
1938, it was, well, the South American countries assumed it was going to be going back to South America. It didn't. It went to France. Jules Rimet chose France for some reason. Can't possibly speculate as to why. South American countries threatened to kick off and threatened to drop out of FIFA. Fortunately for France, and this is not fortunate for France at all, because I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to say, something came along to distract everyone the following year in 1939, and football was delayed for a few years because of the Second World War, obviously.
Not fortunately for France. They got invaded and then occupied.
Yeah, well, silver linings. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, after the Second World War, there was a lot of countries that obviously financially were really struggling, really not very wealthy, really considering, just ditching the World Cup entirely. The 1950 World Cup, we'll talk about in a bit more detail in the future, but the success of that tournament and how sort of great it was, and how there was a bit of a surprise result in Uruguay winning it, and it was attended by so many people. I think it was a record. I think 1950, over 1 million people attended then, and that wasn't beaten until 1966. Obviously, that was held in England. Big stadiums, 1.5 million people went to that, and that wasn't beaten then until 1982. And then that wasn't beaten until 1994, and then 1994 has never been beaten. 3.5 million people saw the 1994 World Cup in the United States. I presume it will be beaten this year because of the amount of games there are. However, whether all the stadiums will be full remains to be seen. But yeah, like the World Cup exploded in popularity. And in those early days, that was how they were making their money. It was just bums on seats. It was people paying fees to enter the stadium, maybe a few merchandising things, but nothing particularly significant.
Football really took off, though, didn't it? I mean,
yeah,
like
popularity-wise, yeah, stadiums were being sold out.
Yeah, like the 60s was pretty big, but the 70s onwards, like football was the showpiece event in town after the Olympics, right?
Yeah, I mean, the sort of commercial side of sport very much came out of America, or certainly heavily out of America. In the 1960s, the NFL, the AFL, baseball, things like Le Mans as well. Actually, you started seeing the sponsorship logos on the cars at Le Mans rather than just sort of plain colours. So that started becoming noticeable in the 1960s. And then in the 1970s, it got turned up to 11. And I've already mentioned his name, but in 1974, Sir Stanley Roux was the FIFA president from 61 to 74. He was a classic conservative, old-fashioned Englishman. Yeah. He was not the man to take the sport forward.
No, he wasn't.
And it needed to be modernised. And yes, I think João Havelange, who took over from him in 1974, he's a Brazilian. He did more to change the way the sport is run than anyone, and not necessarily for the best.
No.
But it did need an injection. It did need to move in a certain direction. It's just been taken, obviously, to an extreme. And what he did was he brought a lot of sponsors initially into the game, most famously Coca-Cola, who were the title sponsor of the 1978 World Cup and have been a sponsor ever since.
And Adidas. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, so Adidas we'll go into in a bit more detail. Certainly a company linked to Adidas in a bit more detail in the next episode.
Yeah,
but
we will.
Yeah, Havelange basically brought all this money into it. Initially it was sponsorship. Later on it was TV rights were the big thing. And obviously TV rights, the amount of money it goes for nowadays is crazy. And we will very much be talking about that in the next episode. In 1998, he served to João Havelange, so it was another long stint, 24 years. And when he left in 1998, he was replaced by his general secretary at FIFA, who was a man very much in his image, very much with the capitalistic mentality. His name was Sepp Blatter. And that sets us up for the next episode.
Yes, it does. Well, let's leave it there then.
Yeah.
The World Cup has begun, or is beginning. And our next one is going to be a little bit less upbeat. We're gonna two-foot FIFA.
I think justifiably so.
Well,
I can't wait.
We'll let those listening make up their own minds, but the evidence is, in our view, overwhelming.
And not just in our view too, in the view of certain courts.
Yes, cool. All right then, looking forward to having a pop at FIFA with you.
Me too. We'll see you soon, guys.
See you in a bit.
Thank you for joining us for our World Cup series. Through the next 5 weeks or so, we'll be covering scandal, greed, brilliance, controversy, death, and genius. Please spread the word and tell a friend about us. There will be something for everyone. Today's intro included music from Fesleyan Studios. Our theme tune is Oh Yeah by Harmonia Productions. You can find us on Instagram and Blue Sky, and Facebook at some point once we get round to it. Next up, it's Scandal as we talk FIFA, CONCACAF, Chuck Blazer, Qatar, Russia, and the FBI. Until then, don't ever forget, it's coming home. See you soon.